Hello again everyone, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. As you can see, I am not in the studio today. I am in fact sat in my car taking my father-in-law to a dentist's appointment. And also it was glorious sunshine the last couple of days. It felt like summer had finally arrived beginning of September, and today it's absolutely torrential rain, so I apologise if you can hear that thumping on the roof, if you can hear all of the street noise that's going on around. Both of these things are kind of appropriate for what I wanted to talk about today, which is, I guess, a kind of change of season. When I was at theological college, one of my tutors was very big on her seasons in people's lives, and I think that's a good way of looking at things, and I think this feels like there's been a very definite shift of season from the last year, last 18 months really, where I've sort of been in a really quite a fortunate position. I know the pandemic's been terrible for lots and lots of people, and I'm sure for some of you it will have been an absolute nightmare experience. I have been very fortunate because as a creative introvert, the extra time to be at home in the studio, I was working from home, which meant that I wasn't commuting, I wasn't having such a heavy workload as normal, so I had more time to do kind of creative things. I was at home, so I was able to be in my own creative space, and again, I'm very fortunate that I have a studio space that I can use and be creative in. I haven't lost anybody so far. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet by a long stretch, and I'm a bit worried about the way that things are going. Maybe we'll talk about that in a bit, but so far so good. Haven't lost anybody to COVID, haven't had anyone around me who has been seriously ill or affected by it, so I've been very fortunate. But now I am back full-time working at the university. Things are ramping up towards students returning, which I am a bit worried about because, you know, numbers are still high. We're still looking at 40,000 cases a day, 1,000 people a week dying from it. So this hasn't gone away, and I don't want long COVID. That is a thing, whatever anyone says. I don't want to get long COVID. I don't want to get COVID and pass it on to anybody else. I am doubly vaccinated, and so is everyone around me. But again, the evidence is that, you know, being doubly vaccinated doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. It doesn't prevent you from getting long COVID. All it does is make hospitalization and death less likely, but you can still carry enough of the virus with you to pass on to other people who, if they're more vulnerable, they're immunely compromised, the vaccine isn't working as well. It can still be a serious thing. So I'm still wanting to be really careful. I'm still not thrilled about the idea of being in a building full of the year group or the age group that is being particularly bad at being vaccinated. So anyway, that's one thing. I'm back full-time at work. I'm also my wife and I and my wife's mother are having to do quite a lot of looking after my father-in-law, who's in his 90s, and he's just needing a bit of help. He's fine in terms of health, but he's needing a bit more help around the house, a bit more cleaning, doing some shopping, and just generally keeping him company, because he's in the house by himself, apart from his cat and his dog, who also need a bit of care and a bit of looking after. So what that means is that before the pandemic, when I was working full-time, I was finishing work at 5, I was driving home, was getting home about 6, cooking dinner, having dinner, clearing up. That gave me 7 till 10-ish, you know, 3 good hours in the studio. It was worth sort of being in the studio to do some kind of creative bits in the evenings. Now I'm leaving work at 5, I'm getting to my father-in-law's about 6. I'm with him until 7, half 7-ish. I'm getting home about 8, cooking, eating, cleaning up, and then it's 9, and it's not it's not really worth getting anything out for that hour before I think about going to bed. So what this means is that for the foreseeable, any sort of sculpting, writing, creative things that I'm looking to do are gonna have to be done in on the weekends, and of course I'm not completely antisocial, though I'm very introverted and very happy with my own company. I do like the company of other people, especially after so long of not being able to see people. It's nice to be able to get together and have play some games and things, and so that's mostly happening at weekends. So I am not going to be able to put out a lot of new releases for Oakbound in the next couple of years. Fortunately, obviously the pandemic has given me the opportunity to do a lot of sculpting in that time, so there are still quite a lot of things that we haven't released yet. So we have got new releases for probably the next 18 months, might even take 2 years to get everything released, so that's good. We'll still be releasing things, but it just means things are going to be slowing down a little bit. I've got to focus on some other things, so there might not be quite so much kind of Oakbound content coming out. I'll still have the chance to throw some paint on other things, and I'm still going to try and do a weekly video if I can, if I have enough time to shoot and edit. I will do that, so I'm still hoping to do that. So I'm not leaving you, I'm not going anywhere, I'm just letting you know things are going to be sort of slowing down a little bit. But I am sort of having a rethink because of this, and obviously we don't know how long this is going on. I'm hoping that there's no immediate cessation, because that will mean something horrible has happened to my father-in-law, and I'm not keen for that to happen. So hopefully this will actually be a fairly long-term thing, but also that will mean that I don't have a lot of time long term. So I'm having a sort of think about the way that that Oakbound can go over the next few years. So I have been putting together a few plans, one of which is something that I have been thinking of doing for a number of years, and I haven't sort of worked out the final details for it, but I've been sort of gathering information, doing some research, having a look around into going down a bit of a Patreon line. So yeah, if that is something that would be of interest to you, let me know. I'm going to be sort of working out some details, and hopefully sort of mid-November time, maybe early November, depending on when I can get stuff together, I'll be throwing out some details of how that might look, and then we'll be looking to go into a kind of Patreon situation in January. If that happens, if that seems to be something that that people are interested in looking at, that's one possible direction. But there are definitely things that I want to sculpt and want to get released. So there will be new sculpts, there will be new releases. What have I got to release? Let me give you a bit of a rundown. We've got I've got leprechauns master molded, so they're going to be good to go. There's a new Miri release coming up as well. That will be that's again master molded and good to go, but I want to add a few more things to it. We've inherited some hobgoblin models, so tied to the new book, the Tales from Tel Amlar is the working title of that, and we've got some artwork done for that. That's the big map has been done for that. There's some writing in progress. I just haven't had a chance to sort of finish it off and finalise it and get it ready to go. But they're going to feature in that supplement. What else have we got? There's the Brian Froud Giant that I've been working on. That's again, that needs to go into a mould, and then that will be ready for release. Zordrak for the Dreamstone is coming along quite nicely. I need to get the sculpts approved, and then they're going to go off to be moulded. So I was hoping that Kickstarter would be happening around the end of this month to sort of celebrate 31 years of the Dreamstone, but actually that's probably going to be the mid to latter half of October that happens. which is actually, that's interesting because October is very much a month that, for I don't know why, I seem to associate that month with the Dreamstone, and maybe it's because the Dreamstone came out in late September, so maybe it's because I was watching it in October. I don't know if my memory is triggering that association, but anyway, I associate it with October, so it makes sense, I guess, that should end up happening in October. So I hope that's happening then. I've got some more Dreamstone stuff that I haven't sculpted yet that I want to get sculpted and released 6 to 8 months on from that next year. We've got a 3-year license, and then the possibility to extend after that, so should be time. What else have we got on the cards? Fey Cavalry. Again, is in a master molded state. I need to do a few tweaks to that, and then that can roll. I've got a number of sloth. I'm not quite sure how you say that. If you've got a copy of Barrow Ring Burning and you have read to the end, there is a creature. I don't want to give too much away. There is a creature, they're a little bit kind of fen beastie, if you're familiar with that aspect from the Warhammer Albion campaign. Yeah, they're a kind of animated bog creature, I guess, is an easy way to describe them. And so I've got a couple of models for that I want to get released as well. And of course there's the Wood Elves and the Grey Company, Fey Walkers, I should say, not Wood Elves, Fey Walkers and the Grey Company that were on Kickstarter at the beginning of this year. They've all now gone off to their backers, apart from a couple of them. So if you have backed that Kickstarter and you haven't received your models, it's because you haven't got in contact with me about postage. So I'm waiting for, I think, 2 people. So if you're watching this and you're one of those 2 people, get in contact with me and I'll send you your toys. So anyway, they need to have a general release, and then I've got another Knuckle of V sculpt for more general release as well. And I now have the molds back from the first models that Oakbound brought out back in 2014 for the first Kickstarter that we did, which had a host of models in it. Some of those I want to bring back into production as like a classics line. Now we've moved on a bit, so now I have some casting facilities. I'm going to be slowly getting those back into production. So there are things to come, and there are things to come that are not going to require too much time from me on the creative front. It's just when I get around to putting those in place, but possibly once those are sorted, I will have some more. Circumstances might have changed, seasons might have moved on, I might have some more for you, but for the moment that's what we're looking at. So next couple of weeks though, I'm going to be doing a couple of kind of, not memorials, tributes. One of them's a memorial, one of them's a tribute, let's go with that, to a couple of people who've been quite influential in my life, and so therefore they have been influential on Oakbound. So do join me the next couple of weeks for those. I hope you'll find them interesting. In the meantime, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you next week.